Okay, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Thompson Board of Education to order at 7:02. Okay. Who's going to be my? Oh. Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We were supposed to have a special meeting today on board evaluations, but we had to cancel because we would not have had a quorum. I am not going to reschedule the meeting until July or August. So we're just going to go live with the evaluation form the way it stands from CABE and with the schedule that they have suggested. We will have the meeting in July or August and then go directly with our goals. So be thinking of goals. And Heather, you gave me I really appreciated that email. I will put that in my folder. And if you don't mind, I could share that with the rest of the board. All right, I'll share Heather's email. You already have it. I will share that with the rest of the board, and that's a very good example of what we should come up with for that next meeting. And we will go live. And from that, Superintendent Smith can base her goals according to the CABE outline of how this should work. And then at that time, if we want to make some tweaks or other adaptions to that, we will make them then. We're just too busy this time of year to reschedule a meeting. This is reserved for your communications next month in February. We will get an update on Melinda's goals for this year. Okay. Congratulations to Joshua Carlson for for his great achievements on the varsity basketball team, on going over 1,000 points. And I will let Deb, if she is able to join us for this meeting, talk more about that in her segment. Now, the big thing for this time of year is our budget. So on 1/21 is our joint meeting with the Board of Finance. All the directors and principals are going to present their budgets to the Board of Finance. At that time, I believe it starts at 6. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I really encourage the Board of Ed members to be there at that meeting, please. It's very important that we listen to the principals and the director's explanation of their numbers and be present at that meeting for the Board of Finance. This is our chance to show and to explain to the Board of Finance where our numbers come from and how they were developed and why they were developed. And I encourage, we have our Board of Education budget workshops. The Board of Finance budget hearings start at on 3/13 in March. And I encourage every Board of Education member to be there, even though they're going to be talking about the town, but they also will be talking about the Board of Education too. And it's also important for us. I know they sit down with the Board of Selectmen, and that's your choice whether or not you attend those meetings, but it's our town, and we may want to know what's going on with our town, because these are going to be our town. This is a very important year because of the revaluation, and we want to get the word out that the mill rate's going to go down, mostly because of the revaluation. The the mill is 1.1 million to make a mill, whereas last year it was 700 and something thousand. Okay, so that drops the mill rate, and people look at that and go, whoopee, but that's not the case. And so there's a lot of education that can be done through your slides or your handouts. And for those of you who did not see, I don't know his name, Paul, the assessor's presentation on the evaluation, the reevaluation, that was really, really informational. I encourage you to go out to the town site and link into YouTube and give that a watch, because the average home in Thompson went up 60%. So if you are below the 60%, your taxes at that current mill rate would have gone down. If you were above the 60%, your taxes would have gone up if the mill rate stayed at that rate. So it's a great presentation to watch, very informative. And I encourage you to get to as many of these budget workshops that you can, especially the ones in March. Okay, that's really all I have to say at this point. And so we will move on to citizens' comments. I didn't forget them this time. Any citizens on Zoom have a comment to make this time? No? Hearing none? I'll turn it over to Megan. Please.
Megan's not feeling well tonight in many ways, so I commend her on that.
Well, thank you for joining anyway.
For the TMHS events, January 1, on 1/7, we had a student council meeting at 7 p.m. On 1/8 was the TMHS collaborative meetings during Tiger Block. On 1/10, it was we had 9 a.m. at the LA College panel. 1:10 to 1:11, CMEA Festival at University of Connecticut. 1:15, we will have a 7 p.m. school governance council meeting. 1:17, we have an electric boat job fair from 9 to 11 a.m. 1:19, we have an FBLA Boston's Bruins field trip. 1:20 is Martin Luther King's Day, so we have no school. 1:22, quarter 3 starts. 1:23, we have club winter sports and senior panorama photo. 1:24, we have a TSLT in service. 1:29, we have TMHS connections during Tiger Block. And 1:30, we have report cards, go home. 1:31, we have TMHS Honorable Assembly and the Drama Mystery Theater Dinner. For other news and highlights, the music department put on its annual winter concert at 12 on December 4th, and the 4th annual gingerbread house making / decorating championship throughout the month of December. The concert was a great success, and the gingerbread houses were exceptionally creative. The Student Spirit Association held a hallway indoor decorating contest, Spirit Week, and Pep Rally the week of 12/16 to 12/1. These events definitely met the goal of raising school spirit, and the many efforts of this organization are appreciated. TMHS students proudly serve their community in several capacities during the holidays, including helping out at the Quinnebog VFWT Thompson Recreation, the Thompson Business Association's Weekend Warrior Program, and the Salvation Army. For Student Voice, the Student Council meeting was held on January 7th. After the Board of Ed liaison report was written, we will update the board on Student Voice in February.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Thank you very much. We will move on to the administration reports. I'll start with Mr. Mellon, who will report what's happening at Turtle Rock Memorial High School, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start off with something that I didn't write down, which was Josh Carlson's 1,000 point night. Testament to the to the hard work that he's put in for the last, several years, obviously. One thing that touched me and almost got me to cry, I might have had a tear or two, is just the excitement of his teammates who were crying for him. I thought that was like a really sweet moment, and it just shows what type of, program Coach Greg is establishing with that group, and it certainly shows what type of character those kids have. So I commend them, for supporting their teammate, and hopefully he can break the school record sometimes later the next couple months. We'll see how that goes. December was a good time, like Maggie just said. We had the winter pep rally. School spirit was really, really high. It was a pretty smooth month overall. We, as far as our focus items go, we got to prepare for that 2026 NEASC visit in March. A big part of that is curriculum writing. So staff spent the previous faculty meeting working in groups, whether it's content groups or individual groups, to really make sure that they're meeting specific timelines. One of the things I asked them to do is give me feedback as far as where they are in that process. In areas that there's more work to be done. In some areas, they're pretty close to getting that completed, which is a good thing. And then just having those conversations about expectations as far as curriculum goes, what we're looking for, making sure it's rigorous and aligning with standards. Branding update. As far as we're doing all the gym doors, I think I talked about that before, the previous one. Should be done this week, I was told. So hopefully when the students play again next week, when they come back, they'll have something to look forward to. And again, I think that promoting our sports is a key to retaining students and hopefully getting new students in here. EB Job Fair, we're very excited about. Happens this Friday. So we expect Electric Boat's going to be there, Spiral, Collins and Jewel, Westminster Tool, Wasco, Air Gas, Quinnipiac Valley Community College, Woodstock Academy, Putnam High School. Really cool thing that you might want to come check out is we will have a 45-foot inflatable submarine from Electric Boat, and we'll have virtual welders where the students will actually be able to do welding virtually with some new technology. So very excited about that. Lots of good things happening, and that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions?
Questions? Okay, none?
I just have a comment. I was at the capstone presentation, and I just want to say the students did a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
and that was a
knocked
great
it out of the park.
experience.
So thank you for coming, by the way, both of you. Much appreciated. Yeah, kids crushed it today, and we'll have more in the spring. So if you're available, we'll definitely use you again.
Yeah, can't wait. It was great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up is Ms. Granato. Happening at the middle school.
Well, Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we started off our new year with the classroom spelling bee, and we're on to this week. We will have the school spelling bee, grade 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We will then get a list of names that will then go on to our spelling bee for the district, which will be next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. I want to thank our wonderful PTO. The kids had a phenomenal time at Kid Night Out. It was a huge success. They were talking about it on Monday. So thank you very much to all of those who dedicate their time, our parents. Our mocking period ends January 21st. And of course, report cards go home on the 30th. One of the things that I want to highlight is our students and staff took a 2-question survey based on our climate and culture committee that meets once a month. And we just simply asked them, how would you rate TMS school spirit? Choices were great, good, fair, not good. And the other question, what spirit day would you want to bring to TMS? So we actually got a list of events that the kids would like to see, and we will be going over that this month in our meeting, which is tomorrow. But it was great news for us. We had 52.5 say good and 33.5 say great. So we're happy with that, and that was all of the students and staff taking the survey, which was on December 10th. I think everyone would agree that our Minute to Win It celebration that we had at the end of the school year, before we left for Christmas break, was amazing. And what was even more amazing is our music teacher, who just knocked it out of the park. She has a beautiful, beautiful voice. She has been a great addition to our staff, and I think everyone had a moment of amazing. So we are so excited, and we have our new special ed teacher, Mrs. Sullivan, who's going to be joining us this week. One more thing that I would like to mention is that our grade 7 adopted a polar bear. The polar bear is named is Waffles, and the class is tracking him. And we're interested to see where that's going. But our after-school clubs are going great attendance, and it's been a huge hit. So we're very thankful for that grant money. Kids are really utilizing it, signing up. And we did win our 2 basketball games on the boys today, although I should. It's just Deb Spinelli will probably tell you that. That's pretty much it at the middle school.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just a comment on the kids' night out. Our custodial staff that was here that evening were phenomenal. I had a student that had stomach pyrotechnics. We cleaned out one of our rented yard pong barrels, no questions asked, and then we had a couple of students who were helping us, probably not in the best of intentions, of removing our lemonade and iced tea dispensers out through the hallway, and one of them unfortunately tripped and dumped it, and they just helped clean everything up. They've been phenomenal to work with in our after hours activities.
Any other questions? Questions from the Zoom board? No? Okay. You're welcome. Then we'll move on to Mr. Prentice.
Good morning. Sorry. Good evening, folks. The 4th grade students were sad to see Electric Boat and General Dynamics go. They had their final visit last month, but they learned a lot of interesting skill sets that correlated with trades like welding and electrical and pipe fitting and sheet metal. So it was just a really, really neat opportunity. Thanks again, Mrs. Smith and Lynn Jewett, for really spearheading that effort. So really proud for those kids. Thank you to Mrs. Valley and the volunteers for assisting with our holiday shop. We had quite a few kids come in and out and purchase some really neat stuff for family members. So and we were thrilled to be able to have the volunteers that we did show up really enjoy that partnership that we have. The attendance teams continue to meet regularly. We recently received an email, the elementary school did, I should say, from Danette Snay. She inputs Ed Site statistics monthly, and she did share with us that our average daily attendance is much, much better than 2 years ago, and our chronically absent students are lower this year. So always great news. And really, that's a testament to the rapport that the teachers build with the students in the classroom. I mean, that's where it starts. Kids need to feel comfortable to come to school, and we need to feel comfortable reaching out to parents to have open conversations with them. So, cereal challenge coming up. I believe the first round of collection starts January 16th, and I think maybe the last round of collection of cereal boxes happened on March 6th. We got the thermometer in our elementary school, and as Mrs. Granado alluded to, the grade level spelling bee. Thank you, Mrs. Granado, for spearheading that effort. Great job on that. It'll happen next week. cookies and cocoa with Santa. Very positive once again. Thank you to Mr. Mellon and Mrs. Ouellette for allowing those high school students to come down. That was very thoughtful and helpful. And the elementary students certainly appreciate that partnership. Winter concert, what can I say? Juliana George, fantastic job. Teachers, fantastic job. Students, fantastic job. All the way around, kudos. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, Lisa Duran, congratulations on your retirement. Had the opportunity and pleasure really of working with Lisa for, I think, 25 years at least. I don't know how long she's been here, but I just unbelievably kind and generous and a good soul. And that we need more people like that. So that's what we have at the elementary level.
Any questions for Larry? Any from the Zoom audience? Or Zoom board? Okay, no?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to Mr. Steglitz. I'm just going to go right down the line here. I don't have his report.
He didn't submit one.
Naughty. No report.
What do you think of that, huh? Special dispensation this week
Oh,
from the boss.
Only because we're working on the next year's budget and we kind of focus there.
And actually, really, as part of the materials that we reviewed last week, there was a projected spend number.
Okay.
That we discussed, and that comes in at $21.3 million, which is about $97,000 in the black so far.
Oh, we're still holding in the black.
Just, yes.
By the skin of our
relatively
teeth.
thin margin. However, that's really why I didn't think we needed
Okay.
another report done this week. But just for the audience's sake, we had our first budget meeting, as you guys well know, last week. We had many questions from the board that Melinda and I are currently chasing down. As I just mentioned, our current projected spending, $21.3 million or $97,000 in the black. One question I did want to touch on briefly because we talked about it so much in the budget meeting, just a quick summary of the para-related analysis that you'll be getting next week. We actually have 33 paraprofessionals in the district currently. One of those is grant funded, so 32 paraprofessionals in the budget. That breaks down as follows. 4 general ed paras in the elementary school, 6 high school special ed paras, 8 middle school special ed paras, and 13 elementary school special ed paras. In addition, there's 1 special ed bus para also.
And you're going to get a copy of that analysis
Yes.
on
Okay,
midweek.
so I don't have to
Yeah.
write it down. Okay.
It will include, obviously, the numbers I just mentioned, the salaries and the benefits coming to a total cost. As I mentioned, we're working to address the questions, and we will also have a revised budget. The numbers won't move a heck of a lot, but they've come up just a touch from where we were at the last meeting. Any questions? Oh, I would reiterate what Kathleen said, that meeting with the joint meeting with the Board of Finance. We had great results last year on the town side, having the joint meetings with the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to go to, so the Board of Finance could hear all the directors on the town side speak to their budget. And I'm hoping to get the same kind of traction this year with the board.
Thank you. Any questions for Bill?
Comment for that joint meeting. I know it's kind of late in the game to invite our state rep, but maybe for next year invite them to come to these type of meetings so that they can see, especially when we're representing our special ed costs, that you know they can see what it looks like in the budget season for us as a state rep. I think that we should be inviting them.
Senator Gordon has talked to Kathleen and he is gonna come to the February, it was the February board meeting to address that special ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathleen? I think Tom raised his hand.
Tom?
Bill, how are we doing on the state reimbursements?
I was gonna ask that, okay, yeah.
Sure. For this year, I don't think the number has moved. It was still around 340,000, I believe, for special ed excess cost. And Tom, the first payment normally comes in February, if I remember right. So we're still a month out there.
All right. I was just hoping that maybe they had paid a little bit early, but I guess not, huh?
Oh,
Wishful thinking?
All right,
Thanks, Bill.
thank you, Bill. I'm sorry,
you.
Dr. Jones, I missed you. If you would, please. Yes, please. And I do have a question for you.
You have a question for me?
Yeah, after you finish.
I don't take it personally. Okay, so, with the total student population of 797, currently our IEPs are 179 with 19 referrals. So that puts us at 198 with 65 503. Out of district is currently at 25. 17 students in the Bradley program, of which 7 are Thompson students. We're hosting 4 other districts in the Bradley program. Just a little misnomer I heard on the meeting on Monday of last week. Speak to it a little bit. So when we first put the Bradley program in place, I had gone out to all the neighboring districts to kind of pitch the idea of the Bradley program. Point to that was, once we hit 6 students in the program, the 7th student, we would receive a reduction in the tuition of the student. So whether you have Putnam, Killingly, doesn't matter. The 6th student, once you hit 6, the 7th student, you receive a reduction in that student's tuition. So it's roughly about $36 a day. Multiply that by the number of days in the school year, let's call it 180. We're upward of about $6,500 per year in a positive outcome for the district. So then if you hit 12, so on and so forth, you're then going to receive a reduction on that student. So the more you have in the program, the better for Thompson Public Schools. So I didn't want that to be misleading, as it seemed to be some confusion with that last Monday. We're at 24.8% in special education. We're still 16 out of 167 districts. Last year we were 14. Did want to just bring up the referrals yet again. We're on pace for 80 plus referrals. We're at 41 right now. So that would be the highest in the past 3 years. And I know I'm going to speak a lot more to this next week with the Board of Finance and all of you here, so I'll take a little bit more time. But just some budgetary factors that I personally really have no control over, but I think it's important to recognize. So, we've had a couple of families here in Thompson where students have been removed by DCF. We have 5 currently. When that does happen, I have no opportunity to partake in a meeting or speak to any of that. So we've had students removed, end up in Hamden, New London, Putnam, so on and so forth. Then the district is now responsible to pay for transportation and any other related services, OT, speech and language, PT. So with that comes cost. Roughly right now for those 5 students, it's in the neighborhood of $120,000 that, again, I have no control over. We've had students move into the district, already requiring an out-of-district placement. I take a look at those students. I speak to the director. I see if we have a program that we can put that student in. If we do not, I have to kind of acquiesce to that setting to make sure the student is getting what they need. We've had a number of students come into district this year, medically complex, where we've had to hire an RN, we're looking for a CNA, and we've had another one that we've gotten by with the paraprofessional, a very complex, medically fragile children. Also through threat assessment meetings and risk assessments, we've had to hire additional RBTs and also look for other outplacement opportunities. And again, I just wanted to share that information so you have that. And at the time of the report, CT says there was 184 open positions across the state. I checked it right before this meeting, it's at 170. So when I come back next week, one of the remarks was have a breakdown of disabilities, number of students in each disability category. So I'll have that for you. I will have what I typically have, where I break down a trend line, and I'll do that over 8 years. So you can kind of follow the number of students that are placed out of district and the number of students that are in the Bradley program. Okay, and then we'll kind of do a little bit of an exercise. The students, if we didn't have Bradley and we had to pay for transportation, and the average cost of an outplacement versus the Bradley program with no transportation. And we can kind of do that exercise, and you'll see the positive outcome for that. It won't factor in fuel, ESY, or any additional one-on-one staffing, but you will truly see the benefit of the program. And of course, by having the program here on site, I can get on my feet and go to the classrooms, and I can see what's happening, and least restrictively, that's what we should be looking for. I also will be breaking down, and I know Bill spoke to it a little bit, the number of paraprofessionals by building, the breakdown, what their assignments are. For example, if it's a building para versus a one-on-one para or a program para, I will break that down by school. The number of 504s in each building, and the number of special education students in each building as well. Any questions?
I belong to an email roundtable forum, if you will, of from CABE, of all the different Board of Education chairs. And today the big topic was ECR funding. Many of the different Darien, Sprague, different towns were complaining that their ECR funding percentage had dropped. Were you notified of a different ECR funding number?
I was.
No? So ours is what, 100% now?
Anything over the 96
Yeah,
to
so
19.
it's still 100%? Because,
Correct.
all right, because there's quite a few that they have dropped.
Say otherwise. Anything over 96 to 19, 100% reimbursed.
Which is only a handful of students.
Correct.
Right.
And one of them was an Alliance district that had dropped too.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, we've not received any correspondence that anything changed.
okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay.
Hey, Chris, good evening. My question, if you guys can hear me, correct?
All right.
All right, great. You have in your budgetary factors that there are currently 5, there have been several students, but currently 5 that are living here in Thompson, removed through DCF. Are those are not factored in your out-of-district placements, right? Those are just an additional 5 on top of the 25 that are out of district?
That is correct.
Okay.
All in a different category.
Yeah, no, I get, they're not in Thompson Public Schools, right? The out of district placement, I understand that part. I want to understand and you said that was around $120,000 right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Have your hand up?
Yeah, Dr. Jones, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you. I got 2 quick questions for you. The $120,000, what's the time frame that equates to for those 5 students? Do you know?
Repeat that.
You had mentioned that it's $120,000 roughly for those 5 students that have been outplaced. Is that from now to the remainder of the year, or what, or is that what we've already are on the hook for?
So we pay that monthly, depending on, what the services are. And then typically DCF, if there's any kind of reunification and what that may look like, and if the student's going to return to Thompson. So it could be temporary, or it could be, that they're going to be adopted and they're going to live with the new foster. So it really depends.
But you did a projection till the end of the year with that
Correct.
120K.
I guess my question though, so if it's 120,000 a month, are we gonna be looking at 600,000 for the next 5?
Not 120 for the month, 120 for the year. Just
Okay,
project-
all right. All right,
Yeah.
thank you. And then my second question, when you were saying that the 7th student receives a discount,
Yes,
if I'm understanding this correctly, does that mean student number 8, number 9, number 10, 11, and 12 are at the normal rate, and then student number 13 receives a discount?
so every 6th student, once you hit 6, the 7th student receives a discounted rate.
All right, so it doesn't, so whatever the new rate is, that doesn't get, I guess, kind of factored in for every student to get a little bit off their rate. It doesn't work that way, right?
So again, every 6th student, good. Number
Yep.
7, discounted rate, so on average, it's about $36.
Yep.
So then multiply that by 180 days, just for round numbers, it's about 6,200, 6,400. But then as you progress, so if the program keeps building, and
Yep.
again, beauty of having it open to the other neighboring districts, building.
Once you hit 7, I'm going to his question.
Sure.
Once we hit 7, they get a discount.
We get a discount.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That student's tuition is
One
discounted.
of our students gets a discount.
One of your students. And then student number 8 goes back to the original tuition?
Regular rate. And then once you hit the next group of 6, that 7 students, or student 14, would get another discounted rate. Our student.
I don't like that system. You should.
Is that for everybody enrolled or just our students?
Our student.
Just our
We
students.
host the program.
Oh, okay.
But overall, the tuition in general for Bradley is significantly less than our out-of-district
Yeah, of
placement.
course, that's because on average, an out-of-district tuition placement is in the neighborhood of 75,000.
Yeah, I
But
agree
the
with
Bradley
that.
program is 35,000
Mhm.
without transportation.
I understand that, but you think it would
I
be.
guess
a little-
Kathleen and I are just saying that it's luck of the draw. Hey, I'm number 7. I get a great discount. Number 8, you know what I'm saying?
It's always a Thompson student that gets the discount, as long as we have the 6.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is student number 7 gets a discount. Student number 8 does not.
Right. But
What
we
I'm
have.
saying is if student number 7 and number
Uh-huh.
13 end up getting a discount, why is that? I mean, that's just luck of the draw. You're number 7. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so far we have 2 students.
Tom,
Yeah.
right? So you have a bunch of students in the program, neighboring districts. Let's say there's 21 students in there for the sake of round numbers,
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
5, so 3 students.
So let's just say 21, just for the
That-
sake of the
Math.
exercise.
Alright.
Bear with me. Right, so 6, doesn't matter, Killingly, Putnam, Woodstock. Number 7, a Thompson student regardless gets a discounted rate, right? Now, the next tier of 7, 8 through 13, Sterling, Stafford, whomever. Number 14, the Thompson student gets a discounted rate.
Okay, I totally misunderstood the way that you said that originally. Very sorry. Now
So we
that
have
make, now it
three-
makes sense.
We have 3 students in Thompson of our 7 getting discounted rates.
Based on the number of 25.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, that makes so much more sense. Thank you.
Going to 28.
Yay.
Very sorry for the confusion. Thank you.
Dawn breaks over Marblehead.
Exactly.
Thank you. All right, Bill Birch, what do you have to say to us tonight? It's cold out there. Our brain cells are frozen.
It's cold out there, but fortunately, it's not cold in here tonight.
That's right.
But we had a couple of busy weeks. The day after Christmas, we had a hot water coil freeze up in the high school. Fortunately, everybody was here, so it was a pretty quick cleanup and there was very little damage. That unit is now down. It's due to be replaced this summer as part of the HVAC project. So at this point, it does not seem practicable to me to really do anything except leave it down. It would take me 8 to 10 weeks to get a new coil, and by that time, hopefully, we're near the end. Not to discount the expense.
Yeah.
We also then, I believe it was on the 31st, early in the morning, we had some kind of a power surge here. And it was just an instant, but it raised holy heck with a lot of the electrical equipment. And it took us probably the best part of last week to actually get everything back up and online and running. Knock wood, as of last Friday, everything was singing along just the way it was supposed to, and nobody called me today, so I'm assuming that's still the case. The HVAC project, the bids are all in. The contract has been awarded, and we actually have a kickoff meeting tomorrow, and we're gonna get this going. The door project, the door contractors were back on site today to do the installation on the last 3 doors and to tie up some punch list items, and I believe at that point, then that project will be in the books.
We're coming along.
We're coming along.
Thank you.
Praying for warm weather.
Yeah.
Justin has a question, Kathleen, I think.
We have a question? Okay,
Yep.
Justin?
Just a quick one, Bill. Couple months ago, you had mentioned fuel pumps issues with the heating in the elementary. Where are we with that?
So the fuel pumps are not here yet. We ordered them, I want to say it was maybe the second week of October, 8 to 12 week lead time. They're not here yet, so we still have a temporary pump running down there. It's working. I'm not pleased with it. It's not correct, but until we get the correct equipment, we're kind of at a loss there.
Okay. Is it sufficient enough to support the systems that we have down there, or are we putting the systems down there in jeopardy because we're
No,
not supplying them with fuel?
everything at this point is running, and again, knock wood, we haven't had any issues with it recently.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Questions for Bill? Okay, we're all set. Then we'll move on to Heather Burns.
Hi, good evening. Last month we resolved 156 tickets. Still a pretty good amount here. Danette is working on the CRDC report, which is the Civil Rights Data Collection. I talked a lot about that last year too. It is now a yearly report. It used to be every other year. So that's required by the U.S. Department of Education, and it captures a lot of different demographic data from staff and students. The big thing in my department is the Power School data breach. So just a quick update on what's going on with that. We were notified last week that we were one of the schools affected, as were most schools across Connecticut. Some of the data that they stole were student and staff demographic data, so like name, address, phone number. Fortunately, we do not store any social security numbers, so that is one good thing. So we did notify parents right away, because it is state law that as soon as we're notified of any type of data breach, we have 48 hours to notify those affected. And we're just kind of waiting to hear some more updates from Power School. We have been told that all of the data that was stolen has been destroyed. Um, they have CrowdStrike searching the dark web just to make sure that nobody's data is still out there. Um, I guess Power School is going to potentially offer some credit monitoring services if they think that that's necessary. So that information is still forthcoming. I am monitoring the situation closely with all the other tech directors across the state.
And it wasn't only a Connecticut thing, because I watched the Boston news and Boston Public Schools were going through the same thing. So this must be something that's on the national level.
Yes, it was. Canada too, I believe.
Any questions for Heather? Okay, Tom?
Definitely. Heather, thank you for that update.
Mhm.
Does that also include Board of Education members' information or?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, because technically you guys are listed under staff.
yeah,
So it would be your name and phone numbers.
okay.
Mhm.
That one getting weird calls. Okay. Okay, Tom, all right. Any other questions? No. All right. Now, Michelle.
Happy New Year. So we hired our high school carpentry teacher who is going to be starting at the end of January. We have 2 candidates for the paraprofessional positions that are open currently, as well as a CNA candidate that came in today. We have 3 new candidates for the food service director job, so we will be scheduling those. I scheduled one already, but I'll be working to schedule the next 2. And then just to give you a panorama update, students obviously have not taken it, we just opened it. But over the weekend, we had 120 families take it and 28 schools. So we'll be continuing that, and the survey will close on Friday, January 24th. All I have, 5 months for me.
Questions?
I'll walk it away.
Nah, stay there. Questions for Michelle? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Shannon. Online. Yes? Okay. Shannon, your turn.
Good evening. I don't have a lot new to report. There's still a lot of norovirus out there, a lot of COVID, strep throat. We're seeing probably about an average of 20 students absent daily, give or take a few that are chronic, with illnesses. And I just keep encouraging people to wash their hands and stay home if they don't feel good.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season.
Any questions for Shannon? Okay, hearing none. Deb is still involved in her game. Okay. All right. So that wraps up that portion of our meeting. On to approval of the minutes from our last, we had 2 meetings. One was the regular meeting. Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve both the regular and the emergency minutes.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jess. Okay, any discussion on the meetings from our regular meeting in December and a special meeting? Where's our special meeting? Where'd it go? December 17th. Any discussion on those meetings?
I don't know if this is the appropriate place. The minutes are fine. Do we have that contract in place from the food service?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of discussion. Yes, it's appropriate time. Okay, any other discussion? No? Hearing none, I'll put the motion to the floor for a vote. All in favor of accepting the meetings from our regular Board of Ed meeting on December 9th and the special meeting on December 17th, say aye.
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 Justin?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So, any abstention, any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion passes. Okay, that passes. Matt, could you give us a brief summary of the policy subcommittee?
I actually missed that meeting.
Oh, that's
I was
right.
hoping, Justin, can you cover for that, please?
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Nope. So we met as a policy committee and we reviewed, I believe it was 3 policies, but we are moving forward with 1 to the board for full approval.
Yep.
I believe it's 1, right? Yep. So just the 504 ADA prohibition against discrimination based on disability policy. We reviewed it and I think we made some minor language changes and then other than that, I think we were good to go with that policy. So, Kathleen, that is in the new business. Other than that, there were a couple of policies that were submitted back for additional information. I believe Melinda and her team are working on that, and we should probably be sitting down at our next policy committee meeting or thereafter to review those again.
Thank you for covering, Justin.
Yep.
Okay, superintendent's report enrollment.
So our enrollment has dipped below 800. We didn't have any changes at Mary R. Fisher, which we're holding steady at 355 students. We did lose a student at the middle school, 262 students, and we did lose 2 students at the high school, 179 students, plus our 1 student in transition, gives us a total of 797 going back to August, which those numbers are never really accurate. But we're seeing a bit of a decline from the start of school, September, with 819 students, and we currently have 797. And on those backup sheets, you can see where the students moved to and where the students came from. So, and just for your information, yeah, Danette, I can't say enough about Danette and the work she does around data control, and she's been on top of homeschool numbers. So when a student ages out, she is removing them from homeschool. So those numbers that you see here is our best guesstimation on homeschool students. But I will say that she combs through that data constantly to make sure that that number is as close as we know. But I give her a lot of credit. She works behind the scenes. She doesn't always get a pat on the back. The civil rights report that Heather referred to is a bear, and it takes her a good month to compile all that information. It used to be every 3 years, and for some reason the federal government now wants it yearly. So it's taxing on the data department. So I just wanted to say that.
Give our appreciation to
Yes.
Jeanette. Jeanette. Janet. Hey,
Yeah, Justin has a question.
yes, Justin.
Just real quick, Melinda, I know we've been asking this before, and I think it's been a couple of months since I've asked it, but homeschool reasoning, do you get any reasons why these 3 students moved to homeschool in the middle of the school year?
So it varies. And really to speak to that publicly, I don't think it's a good thing because it could
Okay.
identify the student. But I will say this, in some cases, there is no reason.
Okay.
Other than the parent is battling with a student to come to school every day. And often there's that. No one has called my office and expressed any dissatisfaction. So it could be, and in some cases, the kids have gotten older and want to go work. And that's what we're battling for some of the students that are not moving on from high school, that they want to work. And we're holding on to a few students and really working with them on their schedules so that we can balance school expectations and work expectations. But that's what we're up against, especially at the high school. So
Okay.
the little sneak about behind those numbers, some of that is that some of our students want to enter the workforce. And we're trying to tell them, get your diploma at the very least. And, so that's been, if Mr. Mellon was here, he would talk to you about that. There's been a lot of work done behind the scenes to work with students so that they can also work and they can finish their senior year. So.
Okay. Is there any chance, maybe for next month, your report says that there's 53 currently homeschooled. Any chance we could get the grade breakdown on that, just so?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's, yeah, as
Great.
we know it.
Yeah, of course.
The
Just trying to understand, you could even make it as non-granular as school, right? Elementary, middle, or high. Just trying to understand that number.
Is it possible to get the grade breakdown on like the schools that we pay tuition to?
Grade breakdown, that might be, it depends. I'll talk to Chris. Yeah.
Only my question is because we have a very small number that attend like QVMC, and if we have 3 seniors that are graduating, but we don't have any incoming freshmen, sophomore, or juniors, is that a program that we should be
Are we talking about the transition program?
No, Quinnipiac Valley.
So we cannot extinguish that program. That is a school choice.
Okay.
So what we did years ago, and if you were on the board, you'll remember this. What we did years ago was Putnam had pulled out of the agreement with QMC and stopped transportation, but we had to give like a 2-year lead on it. So we did do that, and when we hit that threshold, we stopped giving transportation. When we stopped giving, because we used to have like 11 kids there. When we stopped giving transportation, that's when the numbers came down because parents couldn't get their kids there. So the fact that we're at 3, I'm hoping it phases out, quite frankly. I'm not overwhelmed with that program at this moment in time.
If not, it would just be nice to see, like, if it's something that's going, if it were to phase, is this a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year?
You want to know what grade level those kids are at? Yeah, that's easy to get. And you can see it for VOAG too. I'll get them all for you. Yes, Tom.
Melinda, is there any opportunity where we could bring back, we used to have a program, this goes back years and years, where it was a work study program. So when we used to have shop, years, back, I'm just saying 80s and 90s. The students that were in the, like, let's say tech programs for woodworking, now boat building, whatever it may be going on, those students would work, come to school for half a day, then they would go work in their desired trade. Is that something that we could ever bring back?
We actually do that. It depends on the student and the number of credits that they have earned, especially going into their senior year. But we do that on a regular basis. We don't have a work placement coordinator. I've kind of pushed, TJ and I have kind of pushed some of that work into the student support coordinator's position.
Okay.
However, that happens on an individual basis with a student based on the credits that they've earned. So if they move into senior year, they have fulfilled their graduation requirements, they want to do a work study and get work study credit, we do allow for that.
But I guess my question is the students that right now that we're trying to work with, because they want to enter the workforce, are they, I guess I should have went back and said, are they enrolled in any of the specific trade programs right now?
So some of the ones that I know specifically about, they're enrolled in trades, but they're not working in that specific trade at this time. They've got to finish out their requirements. Take welding, for example. They've got to finish their welding stuff. They intend to apply to electric boat, but right now they need money to live. And so they're doing work study. We have a lot of families who actually depend upon our students at the high school level to actually get work to supplement their family's income. And we forget about that population of kids. So that's why we've been doing that regularly, but it depends on the student and what the student's transcript looks like, so that we can afford that. But that has been happening the whole time I've been here.
Yeah, and you know, and Melinda, you're absolutely right. It's very disheartening to hear that because you know, again, we live in a very economically challenged area. And unfortunately, you hate to hear that kind of a situation. So thank you for clarifying.
Other questions or comments? Any old business? Anybody have any old business? Justin, Tom? Okay. Then we'll move on to our new business, which is the approval of the 504 ADA policy. I'll entertain a motion to approve that policy.
I'll make a motion.
Kristen made a motion. I hear a second.
I'll second that.
Matt will second it. Any discussion on this motion?
Is there a way when we're looking at these, when they come to us, if we could get a copy of what the original policy was and what the changes are made before we're asked to review and vote on these?
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually the subcommittee pushes the policy as is. You just want to see where the changes were.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't need a whole, we're changing this because it's just what was there before and what we're changing it to now.
Oh, okay. Yep, we can do that on the next policy thing. The subcommittee gets that, obviously.
Yeah.
This particular policy was also vetted through the special ed attorney.
I kind of figured based on what it was based on, but just for
Yeah, we didn't make this one up in our heads.
some of the other ones, it would be nice just to be able to see like what those changes were and why we're making, that can be, done by the policy committee, but just to understand like where the changes are coming from.
Yeah, we'll give you both.
Okay, so I have a motion. Any more discussion on this? Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Hearing no more discussion, I'll put this to the floor for a vote. All in favor of adopting the 504 ADA prohibition against discrimination based on disability policy, say aye.
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 Okay, chairman says aye. It's unanimous, so policy is adopted. Correspondence. We have a letter from, you have this in your packet. We have a letter from the Commissioner of Education.
And Michelle's still here, so she can speak to that letter.
Okay. I'm not going to read it because it's in your packet.
So as you all know, I've worked on the diversity plan for the school for the last couple of months. We received it back in November. I had to make some changes on it. We resubmitted it. I presented it to you last month. I really thought I wasn't getting this letter until February, but it came through and our plan has been completely approved. So now I will be going forward and implementing it. And I did not bring any notes on it. I don't have any, I can't clarify any questions tonight. I'll be honest, I didn't even know this was on there. But it's great that it's been approved. It was a lot of work.
I'm sure it was, but thank you. So we are approved.
Yes, we are approved.
B, state representative correspondences?
And just that, I sent you all copies of the letters that I gave to Senator Flexer, Senator Gordon, and Representative Stewart. And the three main drivers of that letter are obviously special ed costs that we all agree on, and that's a statewide. Thank you for that article today, Jessica. I will forward it to the board. Just the free meal program, and then just not to forget about us, about our alliance money. Actually, Senator Gordon reached out to both Kathleen and I, and he would love to come to talk to the board about what he's doing on the background with special ed costs. So he's coming to the next meeting.
Good.
Senator Gordon will be here in February, February 3rd. I don't know when our February meeting is, but whatever, on our February meeting.
And, you know, you got a copy of the back letter that the Alliance superintendents put together around special ed costs. There's also another letter coming from the Ursa NASA group around special ed costs. So the superintendents are doing their due diligence out there. Just papering the legislation. We have a legislative breakfast this week. I am at in Brooklyn, sponsored by CAVE. I am sure special ed costs are going to be the topic of discussion at that breakfast. So
that's all. Yeah. Okay. And he's the only one we did hear back from, isn't it?
Yes, so far. So far. But I usually always have a conversation with Senator Flexer when she's presenting something from Thompson, especially around Alliance. So I expect a call from her at any time, just to, you know, bring her up to speed on those issues. She's pretty communicative when we send her a letter. So. And I don't know Representative Stewart, but maybe I'll meet him at the breakfast.
You may. You may. Okay. Okay, so keep us up to date with that. Yes.
I actually issued out the letter that Kristen wrote. The only one who I heard back from was Senator Flexer. He's aware of, obviously, our special education.
So
and
you
Alliance
did hear
district.
back from
I did hear back.
Oh, very good then. Okay. So.
I got an auto reply from Courtney.
I got an auto reply.
Me
No,
too.
I didn't do Courtney. I did Flexer,
Yeah,
Gordon, and
it
Stewart.
wasn't a
Yeah, no, mine came
personal
direct
type
from.
thing, but it
Received
was an
your
auto.
letter?
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
got that too.
Yeah,
We
no,
will, I will
I
make
got
that.
a direct response.
Very good. Okay. Any citizens' comments at this point?
I got one.
Yes. Okay, Jess.
Another shameless plug, grade 8 has their celebrity bartender event on January 25th from 6 to 9:30. I am extremely grateful for the amount of staff and administration that's coming out for that. If you haven't seen, I think I may have sent some of you the flyer today. I would love to see you. If you've been to the one for the playground, you know we know how to throw a party, so please come and participate responsibly. But spend some money.
Tips.
Yes,
Don't drink,
tips,
just give
raffle
tips.
baskets. I got it all. On February 1st, Girl Scouts of Green Green Valley is hosting a Go with the Flow drive. My girls had been in here previously talking about period poverty. Our service unit, which accounts for approximately 200 girls from Putnam, Thompson, Woodstock, Killingly, Pomfret, Eastford, and I may have forgotten a town or two, will be at the West Woodstock Library, the Thompson Public Library, Winnie, and the Killingly Library at various different hours on February 1st, collecting feminine hygiene items that will go back to programs such as Tea, Project PIN, and Daily Bread. So we would love to see you participate in that. And maybe it. Okay.
I have a quick citizens comment. Our family wanted to say thank you to the community for helping celebrate Josh's big achievements. So my nephew Josh, he hit his 1,000 points, and then he broke the school point record for a game, and then he got the recognition for being voted Player of the Week, and it was really humbling and overwhelming the support he got at his 1,000-point game, and our family just wanted to say thank you.
Terrific. It's a nice thing to celebrate, and a fine young man. And you know what I found touching, Principal Mellon's tiny tear was, you know, my tiny tear was him passing the ball to his playmate, his team members, and not all about him getting to that 1,000 points. I thought was really admirable to see. So just a nice thing for the community, for sure. We're all kind of excited about it. Yeah.
Very good. Piggyback off of that, it's testament to Coach Gillott's coaching this year, because in one of the last games that I was able to attend, he ended up putting the bulk of his JV players in at the end of the varsity game, and he did leave Josh and Jackson in, and it was very nice to see that you have older kids that were really working really well with helping to build up the confidence of the younger ones, and you don't get to see that very often with some of the programming, and the fact that particularly it was those two, but that we have that occurring in our athletics is phenomenal.
Very good.
And that have the ability to get that information out to the community, so that hopefully families will foster their athletes to stay, because big opportunities can happen at a small school, and he is being scouted for colleges, so it's not like it's impossible. So I think Josh's story, you know, can really ring true to the, you know, big things can happen in small schools.
And it was fun to see for me, 8 years, that gym packed. It was fun to see.
Yeah. Another kid that did it when I was on the board, so in the last.
I think it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
And
Kayvon was the last one, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
For a female athlete, I think it's like 30, almost 35 years.
And then our very own Greg Gillard, he was a 1,000-point scorer if he's in the crowd.
Yeah, Josh wants to beat his record.
Actually, Mr.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Would
That's
like him to beat his record.
Yeah.
He would love nothing more than to see that happen as a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And what a full circle moment to be able to coach a 1,000-point student when you were 1 too, at the same school.
Oh,
and same
terrific.
gym, you know.
Terrific. Okay. Are we all ready? Yes.
I know you're waiting for more.
Okay.
So they